Okay, this is Crabbe's Journal, chapter 16. It's a long one, and this is probably the climax of the novel, at least where all the big events happen. So, Mary and Crabbe have arrived at the hunting cabins, but unfortunately, there's smoke coming from the ceilings. They decide to investigate. Mary insists that they have to do this anyways. Crabbe has a sinking feeling. He has tons of feelings. He feels jitters. He feels it again and again that they should not do this, but Mary insists. He's nervous as hell. Mary says, we kind of have to. And so they go and they take a look and they find that there are four men here and they are very drunk. Of course, we can think about the fact that Crabbe himself is a drunk and not a violent one as far as we know. Not like a boy's boy out having a camping trip and getting drunk in the woods type guy, more of a loner alcoholic. But Crabbe senses immediately the drunkenness and also the danger. So this is kind of like a returning thing for us, right? So we know that Crabbe has an issue with alcohol, and now we're seeing, how this alcohol addiction can play out potentially. And of course, it's a little bit ironic that maybe irony is not the right word, but alcohol was a problem for Crabbe, and now it's a problem for them. Again, alcohol, big problem here. And we don't know what happens yet at this point. Obviously, if you read the whole chapter, then you do. But there's definitely some signals here that the alcohol is important. They mention it many, many times. So these don't seem to be men that are like survivors like Mary. They seem to be people that are on, like a bit of a hunting trip or something. They're having a good time and they're playing poker. So I won't go over their plan. But, Mary is, as usual, prepared and measured. It's interesting that Crabbe's alarm signals go off and Mary's don't. But he does mention that he notices later on, I forget where it is here, that her voice sounds as shaky as his. And so he does give us a hint that she is also really scared. She's just acting like she's not. So the question is often from students what actually happened to Mary. And I think that we don't obviously know the details, but we do know that Mary is quite shaken up. We know that she was left tied up on a bed in a bedroom with the door closed and that her breast is exposed. So we obviously know there's a sexual nature to this. I've been saying throughout these things that I don't feel like there's ever like a sexual kind of thing with Mary and Crabbe. And I think that serves in strong contrast here. Like the respectful treatment that Crabbe has for Mary versus the treatment she receives here. So, I mean, the one thing is we have to wonder, I guess, how long do they really have Mary alone? But when you think about all the things that Crabbe did in the meantime, right? He went back to the shed, he lit the fire, he prepared a bunch of things, he got, steaks and all of that kind of thing. So she wasn't in there for a super long time, but enough time that two of the men have passed out. And we know obviously some sort of damage has been done to Mary. Uh, I don't want to go into like tons of detail about it. I think it's meant for us to speculate, but obviously we are meant to assume that something really bad happened, especially considering what we know about Mary as like a really measured, brave, strong woman who keeps her head about her in a trauma, like in a difficult situation, like Crabbe's injuries, for example, going over the waterfall. And then now her behavior. So the compass comes back into it. The compass, of course, the thing that Mary taught him now is the thing that he needs to use to save Mary. But recall that Crabbe has concern about being a man, and we've just seen four men hurt Mary right in front of Crabbe. And what did he do? He was frozen to the spot, right? So he does come up with a plan and he does, move eventually. So we can talk about that as we kind of get through the novel. Does Crabbe become a real man? What is a real man? Is Crabbe being the man that Mary thinks that he is? You're a fine man, is he? We can ask those questions as we go through. But yes, so the compass is very significant, and Crabbe realizes that Mary needs him now, and she's completely out of it. Um, Crabbe wants to stop, Mary wants to go. So remember that we just had a whole conversation about how Crabbe wanted to stay and Mary wanted to go. He wanted to stay with Mary. So she's now just repeating nonsensically, I can't stop, I can't stop. Like they need to keep moving. And so Crabbe ends off the chapter with, again, this cliffhanger that makes us want to read on, which is I should have tied her up. I should have done something to force her to stop, but I didn't. So we can obviously gather that Mary is not going to stop despite what Crabbe's plans are, and that he regrets that. So we will leave that there for now. It's a pretty intense chapter in the novel, so hopefully you are all right. And we will go on to chapter 17.